Hey all, welcome back. It's me, Kevin. So, you find a job posting that is really interesting and you decided to click on the job posting. And then that's when you discover that the company has put some really dumb requirements and expectations on the candidates. So today in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 dumbest things employers do during the hiring and interview process. Now, not all companies are fun to work with, am I right? So it would be good to tell if the employer we are going to be working with is going to be someone that we want to work with, and if the work environment is something that is suitable for us. And if we can tell all of that during the interview or hiring process, then at least we can reject the offer and put ourselves out of misery before it even begins. Okay, so the first thing that you can look at is when a company is using an out-of-date application tracking system. An application tracking system is where you upload your resume or your CV to your potential employer. And you can easily tell if a company is moving forward or not just by looking at their application tracking system, because some of them, they're using application tracking system that are so outdated and it looks like they are built in the 1990s. So that's the first thing I look at. If their application tracking system is outdated, then chances are the company is not going to be willing to invest in the future as well. The other thing you can look out for in the application tracking system is, you know how sometimes after you upload your resume and then you still gotta fill up this form talking about your past experience and your work history? Yeah, that has to go too, because after I upload my resume, I don't see myself filling up more information because all of the information that they request is basically the ones that I put in my resume. For me as a candidate, I find this extremely frustrating because if I spend 1 hour trying to write up my resume to apply for this job, I don't see myself putting another 30 minutes filling up the same form that I did 1 hour ago. In case you're wondering, the whole point of having you fill up the form is so that whatever information you provided in the form is going to be stored in their database for future use. But let's face it, as a recruiter, I don't think I have the time to actually look at what you fill up in the form. Instead, I'll just grab the resume you just uploaded, print it out and have a look. That's the way it should be done. But what an employer doesn't understand is if the application process is really long and tedious, chances are the candidate is just going to abandon the application halfway through. And you never know who the candidates are, right? Some of them could be really talented and you just push them aside just like that. Having an outdated application tracking system is also a reflection of the company, as in bad reflection, because it shows that the company has really outdated process and they may or may not be willing to change their process and protocol, which means their operation is also outdated. And that to me is a company that I wouldn't want to work for. Okay, so the second point is uploading a cover letter. In my opinion, cover letters these days are outdated because let me ask you a question. If I were to upload a resume and a cover letter, which one are you going to read? The resume or the cover letter? You are definitely going to read the resume first, right? And if you have time, you will read the cover letter. And then if you actually do both, you will notice that the resume has a lot more information than the cover letter because the cover letter is like an official application letter to the recruiter. But imagine this, if you are a recruiter and you have to read a resume and a cover letter for each candidate and there are 20 applications, how much time and effort would that take? And to tell you the truth, when I apply for any jobs, I still do upload resume and cover letter. But the thing is, I never write the cover letter from scratch. All I did is just reuse the same cover letter over and over again as though it is some kind of template. Because the point of having a cover letter is pretty much just to elaborate on the points I have on my resume. And this is just really redundant work. In my cover letter, I just keep explaining the same experience I have in the past because that's what I do. And all I do is just change the headline because the headline has the role I am applying for. So all I need to do is just change the role name and change the person I'm addressing to, and that's it. My cover letter is done. And once I perfected my cover letter, then I'll just reuse it over and over again. And that makes me look good because most people do not upload their cover letter just because they can't put the effort and time to writing one up. But again, it is actually really bad for the employer or the recruiter because these are just all redundant work. The third one is one of my favorite, and that is the job requires a certain industry experience. Imagine this for a second. You're out there looking for a job, or you're on a website looking for the job you want, and then you found this role that really fits you. You started reading through it from the top down, and then everything just fits you. You have the experience, you have the knowledge, you have the background, and then at the very last line, they have this must have 5 years experience in the entertainment industry. And seeing as you have no experience in the entertainment industry at all, right away you are no longer eligible for the job. I think skills are transferable these days, and having a particular industry experience is not really necessary anymore, because most of the time after we get the job, we kind of just learn from the job anyways. Now, to be fair, some companies requires those industry experience for certain reasons. Maybe they're trying to replace someone with X amount of experience in that particular industry, so that's when that person starts on the job, they can jump right into it and get started without requiring any training or guidance. And that's perfectly fine, because sometimes companies have deadlines to meet and they just need someone who has that experience right off. But majority of the time, and in my experience, I have had 7 different jobs in 7 different industry in the past 10 years. And let me tell you this, every single thing I do in those jobs, they're more or less the same, except for a couple of things. So things like maybe invoicing would be different in a different industry, process and protocols are different, maybe the words they use or the jargons they use are different. Those are all industry specific experience. But again, those are things that you can pick up when you start on the job. So everything I do is pretty much based on my past experience. So I'm basically just repeating the same thing over and over again in all of my 7 jobs. So no, I don't believe that having a particular industry experience is necessary in order to get a job, especially when people are so proactive these days and they take the initiative to learn on the job. Okay, the next dumbest thing that employers do all the time is asking about your current or previous salary. Now, I've already explained this before in my past videos, but again, asking questions like this are actually not legal. But most of the time, we just answer it naturally, just like that. You should be paid for what you're worth and what values you can bring to the table. Your past salary should not matter and should not be the determining factor on what you're going to be getting paid for this role that you're applying for. Well, if you're undervalued in your previous role or the company just didn't cherish you as much, you wouldn't want that to continue in the job that you're applying for, correct? And you would want to advance in your career too. Nobody wants to stay at the same spot for the next 10 years. If you ever come across a company asking these questions, whether it is during the hiring process or the interview process, then in my opinions, I would rather not apply this job, and even if I got the offer, I will reject it. What this says about the company is they're trying to hire a really talented candidate, but at the same time, they do not want to pay them the market rate. They want to pay them below the market rate. Alright, the next and final one. Requiring references. I always think that having a reference from your past employer is just added work, because let's face it, if you're a recruiter and you were to call that referee, what are the chances that the referee is going to say something bad about the candidate? Candidates actually need to contact the referee before the recruiter calls the referee. So the candidates would have a lot of chance telling them what to expect, how to prepare, and what answers to give, right? I mean, which candidate is dumb enough to approach a referee that they have bad relationship with? This actually reminds me of a true story. I was in the process of hiring this candidate and I was about to call the referee. And when I called up this referee, he had no idea I was going to call him. He wasn't expecting me to call, just because the candidates did not inform him. And this creates an overall really bad experience. And this is more of the candidate's fault, because all of this can be prepared beforehand, but he never did that. Another story I want to share with you is I was a referee myself for someone else who is not even in my department. And it is so easy to give a good reference because I can just create stories out of thin air and I can say how fun it is to work with him or her, or how good of a teammate that person is. The whole point of doing a reference check is because the recruiter just wants to find a way to reassure themselves that the person that they're about to hire is someone that they can work with, someone who treasures teamwork. But what recruiters don't understand, or maybe they're just being ignorant, is that every referee that they call, it is almost impossible for them to not say anything nice about the candidate. So whether you're applying for a job you want, or if you're unsure about the job you're applying for, sometimes the hiring process or the interview process can give you a good indication on whether the company is a company that you want to work for or not. If an employer doesn't put as much effort into doing the hiring process or the interview process, then chances are they are not going to put as much effort into you as well when you join the company. So that's it from me in this video. Do let me know in the comments down below what are your experiences in going through really dumb hiring and interview process, and what did you do about it? I look forward to reading those comments. That's it from me for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.